All right, so now it's time to officially transfer our sketch from paper onto clay. You're going to want to use a dull pencil or ballpoint pen. I'm holding this in my hand close to the camera, but you're going to want to work directly on the tabletop. You don't need to stand for it. You can sit while you transfer. I'm standing so that I can get close to the camera. I like to start transferring in the center of the design and kind of going around that shape and then working my way outward. So this is similar to what you did on your Zentangle bowl. And I again recommend peeling back a corner so you can see if the pressure you're applying is enough. You want to be able to see your faint lines. Even though they're not very visible, you want to see some evidence of a faint line. And later on in this video, we'll clean up those lines and make them more visible. But to start, it's okay if they're just faint lines. So I'm just continuing to apply enough pressure where I'm able to transfer and make a mark onto clay without ripping my paper. I'm using kind of a wimpy parchment paper or wax paper. For artists, I recommend you use line paper, however. And also make sure your design has black marker on it if possible, just like mine. Or even another color permanent marker. After a while, go ahead and peel back enough of the paper where you can see the center of the design. So I want to see that my heart did transfer well. And it looks good. I've got faint lines everywhere, just visible enough for me to see. That's all that matters. And now it's time to clean up those lines. Because I have nice faint lines, but what I don't have is good permanent lines. I don't recommend using the toothpick I gave you or a paper clip to clean up your lines. We're going to re-outline here with a dull pencil once again, or a ballpoint pen. Unfortunately, a paper clip or a toothpick is a little too narrow for what I'm doing right now. When you use a dull pencil, what that achieves is a nice, bold, wide line. Makes it very clean. It's a little annoying in the fact that the clay is going to kind of cause like a residue on your pencil, so you'll have to clean that up every few minutes. But just go ahead and at this point recarve all your faint lines so they are no longer as faint and more visible. So this is more prep work of our tile. You don't want your lines too shallow when you carve, but you don't want them too deep either. As a guide, think about the thickness of a dime, like a coin, a dime in your pocket. Not a nickel, that's a little too thick, but a dime is a perfect thickness. So use that as a reference guide. That's how deep you should carve so that it matches the thickness of a dime in your pocket. And so here again, I'm kind of cleaning off my pencil a bit. And now my lines are bolder. They're becoming more obvious, easier to see. And as long as your clay is soft enough and plastic enough, you should be able to glide over your faint lines as I'm doing right now. If your clay is a little too dry, that could be problematic. So that's looking pretty good. Now I just want to do further cleanup with a paintbrush. Use the bristle paintbrush I provided you. It's got stiff hair, stiff bristles, and don't get the paintbrush wet. Keep it dry so you can do what's called a dry brush technique, where you literally brush away any crumbs that you see in your lines. So I'm just taking a few seconds to kind of brush those off. Now, if you have a jagged area, you're going to want to use that same paintbrush, but this time dip it in water and then push out most of the water so you have a damp paintbrush. Take your now damp paintbrush and kind of run it through your carved lines to soften any sharp, jagged areas. So use the paintbrush dry to remove crumbs that are clogging up your lines, and then get the paintbrush damp to do a final cleanup of any jagged, rough edges. Okay, that's about it.